Imagine being the mother of a daughter who was brutally sexually assaulted and murdered. To make things worse, not having the murderer found truly takes away the peace one has. That was the case of Mary Stavik, Mandy Stavik's mother, who lost her daughter in one of the most gruesome ways possible. Mandy Stavik was a very bright and vivacious girl who loved athletics and sports. However, her life was short and it ended quite brutally. 19-year-old Mandy Stavik went missing the day after Thanksgiving in 1989. She and her German Shepard, Kyra, had gone for a jog, only for the dog to come back without Mandy. 3 days after she went missing, her body was found in a knee-deep river a few miles away from her home. She was sexually assaulted and drowned. At the time, Kim Wagner was a delivery driver at Acme. Wagner states, "It impacted me. It was the first time something scary happened," Wagner told ABC News. "It changed everyone's perspective in our little corner of the world. It could have been the person next door. We didn't know." The case went on for years, and only a few persons of interest were found. 2 decades after Mandy went missing, police approached Wagner to ask about Mandy, who happened to be her co-worker. Though Wagner was a bit skeptical about helping the police, she finally caved in and decided to help them with whatever she could. Acme was a very safe tiny town, where the Stavik's home was on a dead-end street. Mandy's mother was a single mother who had already lost one child in a shooting whose mystery remains unsolved. Mandy was in her first year at Central Washington University after graduating from Mount Baker High School. She had come home from Thanksgiving and had gone for a jog on Strand Road. Her mother would usually accompany her on these jogs. However, this time she didn't. When the dog returned back home 2 hours later without Mandy, her mother began to panic and called everyone, including her then-boyfriend Rick Zender and even the sheriff. Everyone in Acme began looking for a girl wearing a light-colored sweatshirt with teal-green sweatpants paired up with light blue running shoes with a purple stripe. Everyone initially had their suspicions about Rick, as he and Mandy had dated for around 3 years and had an on-and-off relationship in high school. He had given a statement to the sheriff, following which they had no dirt on him to suspect him of any crimes. 2 days after Mandy went missing, a search and rescue team found a pair of green sweatpants, but this did not connect to Mandy. The very next day, Mandy was found 6 miles from her home, where she was found wearing only her socks and shoes. The autopsy that was done the next day concluded that she had died due to asphyxia by drowning. Ron Peterson, a former sergeant at the Whatcom County Sheriff's Office, began investigating this matter to find the murderer. Mandy was a strong swimmer, and the water was only knee-deep, which opened up the big question of how she drowned. In addition to this, there was no sign of struggle at the location where Mandy's body was found. According to the medical examiner, she had an injury on her head that could have been due to someone knocking her out. She was also sexually assaulted. A DNA profile was taken from Mandy Stavik's body to the FBI, and the DNA of the unknown male assailant did not match with anyone in the registry of that vicinity. Authorities continued to investigate the matter way after Mandy was buried in a cemetery. As the police were not able to find the culprit, the matter was handed over to Detective Kevin Bohe. It was Kevin's idea to conduct a systemic DNA sweep of as many men as he could find who were living in the Acme area in 1989. 4 years after doing this, there was still no luck in finding who the murderer was. However, a man named Timothy Bass came to the attention of investigators. According to Dave McEachran, Whatcom County's former district attorney, Bass lived on the same road as the Staviks in 1989, but wasn't contacted by the authorities back then. Timothy's family knew the Staviks, and his younger brother Tom Bass also happened to be friends with Mandy. Alpha had found out that Timothy had moved out of the area to Everson shortly after the murder and tied the knot with Gina Malone in 1990. The two of them had 3 kids, and he became a local delivery driver for the France Bakery outlet. According to his wife, Timothy was controlling and would often watch content relating to murders on television. The police went up to his house to ask him about Mandy, and he appeared to be unable to remember who she was. Also, when he asked to give his DNA to the police, he refused to do so, saying he didn't trust them with it. These were some major red flags that the police caught up on. Timothy was on top of the suspect list, and the police went up to his workplace in hopes of finding his DNA there. That's where they met Kim Wagner, who immediately directed the police to the Human Resources Department. The police who worked there requested a subpoena or a search warrant, as there was insufficient cause to get a warrant. Several years after this happened, Kim happened to be in a bar with her husband when a conversation about Timothy Bass living on the same street as Mandy Stavik came up. So the next time the police showed up at her place, she decided to help them, whether they had a subpoena or not. On further investigating Timothy Bass, it was learned that he always wore gloves while making deliveries and never seemed to get rid of his things at the workplace. Kim really wanted to help the police out and even offered to help them get Timothy's DNA samples. However, they refused to take her help as they could not put a civilian in such a position. Despite this, Kim decided to get the DNA sample. She watched Timothy carefully and was able to get a plastic cup from which he had drunk some water. When the investigators tested the cup, the DNA samples matched the ones taken from Mandy Stavik's body. In 2017, Timothy Bass was arrested at his workplace and was taken to the Whatcom County Sheriff's Office. Once Timothy realized the police had got their hands on his DNA, he immediately switched the story. According to Timothy, he had a secret sexual relationship with Mandy Stavik. The day she went missing, she had shown up at his doorstep. The only person to prove this had actually happened was his father, but his father could not verify this as he had passed away. It was on Mary Stavik's 81st birthday when she learned of Timothy Bass's arrest, which was on the 12th of December 2017. Timothy Bass continued to deny that he had any involvement with what happened with Mandy. Malone was Timothy's wife at the time, and she stated that she was with him the day Mandy disappeared, trying to cement a strong alibi. She stated, "I was on my way to Tim's house because I went to his house after school and I passed her. She was running, so I saw her." But when the trial took place in May 2019, no one had said that they had seen Mandy that day. Timothy Bass's family was asked to testify. Thomas stated that his brother wanted him to lie to the police for him, saying that he had slept with Mandy too. However, Tom refused to lie to the police for the sake of his brother. By this time, Malone filed for divorce from Timothy and even stated that she had no memory of being at the Bass house the day after Thanksgiving. Gina even revealed that her husband had asked her to lie to the police as being his alibi the day Mandy was murdered. On the 24th of May 2019, Timothy Bass was convicted of the first-degree murder of Mandy Stavik. The judge gave him a sentence of maximum of 320 months in prison. Rick Zender was very relieved when the truth finally came out. Everyone was suspecting him for almost 3 decades for a crime that he did not commit. After the verdict was out, he stated, "I felt like I was holding my breath for 30 years. I can't even describe the relief when he was found guilty." Before Timothy was sentenced, he addressed the court saying, "I would first like to say that I'm 100% innocent of this crime. I wish no ill towards anyone here, not even today, but I'm having a hard time with this." After Timothy was sentenced, Mandy's mother said, "Mandy was special, she really was. I don't know why she was or how she got to be that way. I kind of learned that the living has to go on to honor the goodness in what you've lost." Thanks for joining us on this journey into the case of Mandy Stavik, which was solved 3 decades after her death. Please like and subscribe for more updates on this case and other true crime stories.